This is a kids' movie.
I think kids ought to have
baseball in it,
oh, come on.
and it has pratfalls.
Bad baseball. There isn't a funny baseball moment. You just dumped on the picture. Why soften it? Who are you championing? The filmmakers?
I'm trying to put out a little bit of information that might...
For nearly 25 years, Chicago film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert judged movies like Roman emperors deciding a gladiator's fate. A thumbs up or thumbs down could mean success or death at the box office. The duo even fought like gladiators, often arguing with each other, as you saw, insults included, much to their fans' delight. Their impact on the film industry continues today, and the story of their unlikely pairing is now the focus of a new book, Opposable Thumbs: How Siskel and Ebert Changed Movies Forever. It's by film critic and ScreenCrush.com editor Matt Singer, who I met up with in Siskel and Ebert's hometown. So there are touches of Siskel and Ebert still all over Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here at the Gene Siskel Film Center, and right across the street at the sidewalk of the Chicago Theater, there is a plaque for Roger. I think it's very fitting that they're honored like right across the street from each other. Not next to each other. They have to be opposed a little bit.
The thumbs. That is everything when it comes to them. I love this picture.
It's a great picture, right? At a certain point, very hard to find photographs of them without their thumbs in the air.
Legendary film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert had an enduring impact not only on their city of Chicago, but also movies and the motion picture industry, and a generation of film critics like Matt Singer, who says he was compelled to tell their combined story.
I grew up loving this show and feel like almost as like a fan, I wanted to read this book. It was kind of crazy to me that there wasn't a book.
Long before Matt was born, and long before Siskel and Ebert were on TV, the two worked as rival film critics at two of Chicago's biggest newspapers. It was the early 1970s. Ebert reviewed films for the Chicago Sun-Times, while across the street, the no-nonsense Siskel did the same at the Chicago Tribune. Then in 1975, executives at Chicago's PBS station had an idea. Why not bring the two rivals together on television? The result? A show called Opening Soon at a Theater Near You.
Two film critics talking about the movies, and this is Roger Ebert, the film critic from the Chicago Sun-Times.
And right over here is Gene Siskel, the film critic from the Chicago Tribune and Channel 2 News.
But the first episode was worthy of a thumbs down.
And we want to show you what's playing in town, what's coming to town.
You can find it online. It is astonishing. It is an incredible document of 1970s fashions at their most 1970s. And yeah, if you watch it, it's astounding that they ever made a second episode.
Despite the rocky start, producer Thea Flom saw their potential.
After the pilot, Thea eventually came in, and she was the one who really trained them to be TV stars, because they were newspaper guys, and they were not comfortable on camera, and they also hated each other. So it was
Really hated each other.
They legitimately did not like each other, and they were not happy to be doing a show with each other. And so it was not a good mix of elements.
But changes to the show and Siskel and Ebert's authenticity helped the program hit its stride. Soon it went national on PBS and got a new name, Sneak Previews.
Roger Moore is a piece of wood. He's stiff, he's boring. I don't like to see him.
Listen, you won't get an argument with me. I miss Sean Connery, too. The producers miss Sean Connery. The fans miss Sean Connery. The girlfriends in the movies miss Sean Connery.
Their criticism was honest. It was blunt. They didn't hold back.
I have never felt a kill in a movie quite like that, ever, in any Vietnam film.
Not in Apocalypse Now, not in The Deer Hunter?
Not like that. Not like that.
Well, then in that case, you're going to love The Late Show, because they have kills like that every night in black and white starring John Wayne.
And it wasn't this rehearsed thing.
Nothing was manufactured. They were as real as it got, as authentic as it got. They would argue about anything. They argued about what they would have for lunch. They couldn't agree about lunch every day, and the staff had to decide, that's it, we're ordering the same lunch every day from the same place. There could be no more arguments.
The show became a big hit on public television. Then in 1982, Siskel and Ebert got, to use a classic movie line, an offer they couldn't refuse: syndication, which would sell the show to commercial stations from coast to coast for millions in revenue. That meant fortune and fame.
Here they are, kids, America's sweethearts, Siskel and Ebert. Come on in, guys.
Siskel and Ebert became frequent and popular talk show guests.
Ebert and Siskel.
Well, by the time they became Siskel and Ebert, they really were a huge force in the movie industry.
But even on a basic level, a thumbs up, thumbs down had a big influence on how a movie would do once it premiered.
That's right. And, it was not even just that. It was like if they saw something, a little movie that they loved and they thought deserved a big audience, they wouldn't even just review it once and give it 2 thumbs up. They would keep talking about it over and over.
I'll tell you how good Hoop Dreams is. I couldn't wait until the end of the picture to see what ultimately happens to these kids.
This is one of the best films about American life that I have ever seen.
But if they didn't like a film, they could be brutal.
And when I saw She's Out of Control, I became so depressed I actually thought about quitting my job as a film critic.
The idiots who made this film are taking 2 hours of my life and robbing it from me in order to give me less than nothing.
That was the appeal, is that when you tuned into them, just like when you tuned into the show, you knew they were going to be honest about whatever it was.
At the height of their success came an abrupt end no one saw coming. In 1998, Gene Siskel was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Less than a year later, he was gone.
I lost my good friend last week when Gene Siskel passed away. My colleague and sparring partner was only 53 years old when he died from an illness he'd been fighting since last May.
Ebert tried to carry on, filling Siskel's seat with other critics. Then, like his late partner, Roger Ebert was diagnosed with cancer. He battled the disease for nearly a decade, dying in 2013 at the age of 70.
They were partners and successful partners for more than 2 decades.
Yeah.
In the end, did they still hate each other?
No, they didn't always hate each other. They maybe never became best friends, but they grew very close. And the way they always kind of described it was they evolved into having this kind of sibling rivalry. Like they respected each other and they knew each other was, intelligent and good at their jobs. But darn it, sometimes they just couldn't stand them, and they couldn't stand what they did and what they said. And that was really the energy that they had.
It's like the energy here. Our siblings. All right, so the book is really wonderful, and especially it's this slice in time that I know I remember. I know it's different for everybody, but they made such a difference. I asked Matt, do you think if they had both lived longer, would they have been doing it longer? And he said, certainly longer. Like you look at the industry, it's all changed. But why would they have stopped? It was brilliant in what it was. It was the first reality television.
Yeah. Who did you guys side with?
It wasn't. It was always different.
I was always on.
I said to you guys before, I always just paid more. I did watch the show a couple of times and paid more attention to Roger Ebert's reviews. I just thought he was the best ever.
Too.
Not just the most popular film critic, but the best.
He won a Pulitzer for his writing.
The way he broke movies down in this simple, smart way, I could read his stuff.
That's 2 we agree on this show.
Ooh, see, it's like siblings, and now we'll fight about it.